When Emma saw the gunman approaching Little Sunshine Daycare, every maternal instinct screamed to gather the children and hide. But Emma Rodriguez wasn't just a teacher protecting kids. She was a former Marine Corps sniper whose specialized training had taught her that sometimes the best protection comes from eliminating the threat entirely. Welcome to Secret Human Stories. Before I tell you this incredible story of maternal instinct meeting military precision, tell me in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. Because sometimes the greatest protectors are hiding in plain sight, changing diapers and reading bedtime stories. Emma Rodriguez was exactly what every parent wanted in a daycare teacher. At 31, she had the perfect combination of patience, creativity, and genuine love for children that made Little Sunshine Daycare the most trusted child care facility in Riverside. For 5 years, she'd been the teacher that parents specifically requested, the one who remembered every child's favorite snack and could calm any tantrum with a gentle voice and creative distraction. The children at Little Sunshine adored Miss Emma. She made learning fun with interactive games, turned cleanup time into adventures, and had an endless supply of silly voices for story time. Parents appreciated her detailed daily reports, her proactive communication about their children's development, and her remarkable ability to handle 18 preschoolers aged 3 to 5 with grace and efficiency. Emma's classroom was a perfect early childhood environment, colorful learning centers, age-appropriate toys organized in accessible bins, artwork displays featuring every child's creations, and cozy reading corners where she conducted daily story time. She'd created a space where children felt safe, loved, and excited to learn, exactly what childhood should be. But there was something about Emma Rodriguez that no parent, colleague, or child at Little Sunshine Daycare could have imagined. The gentle hands that tied shoelaces and bandaged scraped knees had once been trained to eliminate human targets from distances exceeding 1,200 yards. The calm voice that read bedtime stories had once called in confirmed kills during some of America's most dangerous military operations. From 2015 to 2023, Staff Sergeant Emma Rodriguez had served as a Marine Corps sniper, one of only 47 women to complete the grueling Marine Scout Sniper School during her enlistment period. The training program had a 15% completion rate overall, and Emma had not only graduated but had excelled, ranking 3rd in her class for accuracy under stress and 1st for urban combat scenarios. Her military career had taken her to places that appeared in classified mission reports, but never in public records. Rooftop positions in Syria, cities where she provided overwatch for Marine infantry units, desert outposts in Afghanistan, where she eliminated high-value targets threatening convoy operations, and urban environments in Iraq, where her precision shooting protected civilian populations from insurgent attacks. Emma's specialty had been civilian protection scenarios, the most challenging and morally complex assignments for military snipers. Unlike traditional combat roles focused on eliminating enemy combatants, civilian protection required identifying genuine threats among non-combatant populations, making split-second decisions about rules of engagement, and executing precise shots that neutralize dangers without risking innocent lives. In 8 years of service, Emma had compiled a record that her commanding officers described as exceptional. 73 confirmed neutralizations, 0 civilian casualties, and a mission success rate of 100% across 127 protection operations. She had earned 2 Bronze Stars, a Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, and the unofficial respect of every Marine unit she'd supported. But the psychological cost of that perfection had been significant. Every shot Emma took meant someone didn't go home to their family, even when those shots protected innocent people from genuine threats. The moral weight of taking human lives, combined with the hypervigilance required for sniper operations, had created a level of stress that civilian life couldn't easily accommodate. Emma's transition out of military service in 2023 had been carefully planned. PTSD counseling, career transition support, and extensive therapy had helped her process the trauma of combat operations while developing civilian employment skills. When she discovered her natural affinity for working with children, it felt like finding her true calling, using her protective instincts to nurture life instead of ending it. The decision to become a daycare teacher hadn't been random. Emma had realized that her military experience, particularly the civilian protection missions, had given her something valuable to offer, an understanding of what real safety looked like and the skills to provide it. Working with children felt like redemption, a way to use her protective abilities for pure good. For 5 years, Emma had successfully created a new identity around finger paints and naptime routines. She'd learned to sleep without checking perimeter security, to interact with people without conducting threat assessments, and to live in the moment instead of constantly scanning for dangers. The daycare environment had been healing, innocent, peaceful, and far removed from the life or death decisions that had defined her military career. Until Tuesday morning, October 17th, when those two worlds collided in the most dangerous way possible. Emma was conducting morning circle time with her group of 18 preschoolers ages 3 to 5 when she noticed the man approaching the daycare through the playground window. Her first instinct was purely civilian, probably a parent running late for drop-off or perhaps a delivery driver looking for the correct address. But something about his movement pattern triggered her dormant tactical awareness. The man was walking with purpose, but without the casual familiarity of someone belonging in the area. His clothing was wrong for the weather, a heavy jacket on a warm morning that could conceal weapons. Most troubling, his attention was focused on the building's entry points, rather than looking for someone to greet him or ask for directions. Emma's military training activated before her conscious mind processed the threat. 8 years of sniper operations had conditioned her to recognize danger signatures that civilian eyes would miss. Concealed carry indicators, surveillance behavior, approach patterns that suggested hostile intent rather than legitimate business. "Children, let's play the quiet game," Emma said in her normal teaching voice while mentally shifting into tactical mode. "Who can be the quietest little mouse while Miss Emma checks on something?" The preschoolers giggled and covered their mouths, thinking this was a fun activity. They had no idea their teacher was conducting a threat assessment that might determine whether they lived or died in the next few minutes. Through the window, Emma observed the man more carefully. He was conducting what military professionals call area reconnaissance, studying the building's layout, noting security cameras, identifying entry points and potential escape routes. This wasn't someone with legitimate business at the daycare. This was someone planning something. Emma's hands remained steady as she pretended to organize learning materials while actually calculating tactical options. Her civilian instincts said to lock the doors, call 911, and protect the children by hiding. Her military training provided a different analysis. The man was already too close to the building. Emergency response time would be 4 to 6 minutes, and 18 preschoolers couldn't move quietly enough to avoid detection during an active threat scenario. The decision point came when Emma saw the man pull a handgun from his jacket and begin approaching the daycare's main entrance. At that moment, she stopped being Miss Emma, the daycare teacher, and became Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, Marine Corps sniper, with 18 civilians under her protection. "Children, we're going to play a new game called Stay Safe," Emma said, her voice maintaining its gentle teaching tone while her mind engaged military protocols. "I need everyone to crawl like little bears to the back corner behind the bookshelf. Stay very quiet and very still until Miss Emma tells you the game is over." The children, trusting their beloved teacher completely, began moving toward the designated safe zone. Emma had positioned them in the classroom's most protected area, behind solid furniture, away from windows, with multiple layers of concealment between them and potential threats. But Emma didn't join them in hiding. Instead, she moved to her emergency supply cabinet, where she kept first aid materials, emergency contact information, and something else that no other daycare teacher in America possessed, a carefully secured, legally owned precision rifle that she'd hoped never to use in civilian life. The weapon was a civilian version of the M40A5 sniper rifle she'd used in military service, modified for legal civilian ownership, but retaining the accuracy and reliability that had made it her trusted tool for protecting innocent lives overseas. Emma had maintained her marksmanship through monthly range practice, telling herself it was just a hobby, a way to stay connected to skills that had defined her professional identity. She'd never expected to need those skills to protect children from a threat in suburban America. Emma's hands moved with the muscle memory of 8 years' combat experience. Check the weapon's condition, verify ammunition, assess the tactical situation, identify the optimal firing position, calculate range and environmental factors. The transformation took less than 30 seconds, from daycare teacher organizing crafts to Marine sniper preparing to engage a hostile target. The man had reached the daycare's front door and was attempting to force entry. Through the security glass, Emma could see that he was armed, agitated, and focused on gaining access to the building. Whether his intentions were random violence, targeted attack, or something else didn't matter. He represented an immediate threat to 18 children under her protection. Emma positioned herself at the classroom's back window, which provided a clear line of sight to the daycare's entrance. The range was 47 feet, close enough for guaranteed accuracy, far enough to maintain tactical advantage. She had one shot to neutralize the threat before he could endanger the children. The targeting calculation was automatic, center mass shot to immediately incapacitate, accounting for the target's movement and position relative to the building structure. Emma's breathing regulated into the controlled pattern she'd learned at Scout Sniper School, her heart rate slowing despite the life-or-death stakes. But just as she prepared to engage, Emma noticed something that changed everything. A small child's bicycle near the daycare entrance, positioned where an errant shot could ricochet and create secondary dangers. The civilian protection protocols from her military training kicked in. No shot was acceptable if it could endanger innocent lives, even with minimal risk probability. Emma adjusted her position, moving to a different window that provided a cleaner shooting angle with a safe backstop. The man had managed to break through the front door and was entering the building, weapon drawn. She could hear his footsteps in the hallway, getting closer to her classroom full of terrified children. "Federal agent, drop your weapon!" Emma shouted in her command voice, hoping to stop the threat without lethal force. The man responded by turning toward her classroom, raising his weapon in her direction. Emma's training took over completely. The shot was textbook perfect. Single round, precise placement, immediate incapacitation. The threat was neutralized before he could endanger any of the children, with a clean backstop that ensured no secondary risks to civilians in the area. The entire engagement lasted less than 4 minutes from initial threat identification to resolution. Emma immediately secured her weapon, checked on the children's safety, and called emergency services to report the incident. When police arrived, they found 18 unharmed preschoolers, a neutralized threat, and a daycare teacher whose precision had prevented what could have been an unthinkable tragedy. Detective Sarah Williams, the first investigator on scene, recognized immediately that this hadn't been a lucky amateur defending children. The shot placement, tactical positioning, and professional weapon handling indicated military or law enforcement training at the highest level. "Ma'am, I need to ask about your background," Detective Williams said during Emma's initial interview. "The tactical response we observed here isn't typical for civilian defensive actions." Emma had been dreading this conversation for 5 years. She'd known that using her military skills in civilian life would inevitably expose the identity she'd worked so hard to leave behind. But 18 children were alive because she'd been trained to protect innocent people, and that was worth any personal cost. "Marine Corps, 8 years, sniper specialist," Emma said quietly. "I wanted to leave that life behind, but I couldn't let those children be hurt." The investigation that followed was thorough but supportive. Emma's military record showed exemplary service with extensive civilian protection experience. Her legal ownership of the rifle, proper storage protocols, and defensive use of force were all within legal boundaries. Most importantly, her actions had saved the lives of 18 children and prevented a tragedy that would have devastated the entire community. The story of the daycare teacher's hidden past made national news, but Emma declined all interview requests. She wasn't interested in fame or recognition. She just wanted to return to teaching preschoolers and helping them learn about colors, shapes, and sharing. But returning to normal wasn't entirely possible. Parents at Little Sunshine Daycare now knew that their children's teacher was someone who dedicated her life to protecting innocent people, first in military service and now in civilian life. The trust they'd always felt was now combined with a deeper sense of security. Their children were safe with someone who'd proven her protective instincts under the most extreme circumstances. The daycare administration offered Emma additional security responsibilities, but she declined, preferring to focus on education and child development. However, she did agree to consult on safety protocols and emergency preparedness, using her tactical knowledge to make Little Sunshine Daycare one of the most secure childcare facilities in the region. 6 months after the incident, Emma received a letter from the Marine Corps recognizing her actions as exemplifying the values of military service in civilian life. The letter noted that her defensive use of military training had saved innocent lives and reflected the highest traditions of Marine Corps service to community and nation. But the recognition that meant most to Emma came from an unexpected source: the children in her classroom. They had no understanding of tactics, weapons, or military service. They only knew that Miss Emma had protected them when something scary happened, and that they felt safe with her every day. "Miss Emma," 4-year-old Katie said during story time one afternoon, "you're like a superhero, but you read books and help us with our shoes." Katie was more right than she realized. Emma had learned something important about heroism. It's not about the uniform you wear or the weapons you carry. It's about being willing to protect innocent people when they need protection, whether that's on a battlefield in Afghanistan or in a preschool classroom in suburban America. Today, Emma Rodriguez still teaches at Little Sunshine Daycare. She still conducts circle time, organizes craft activities, and reads stories to children who think she's the nicest teacher in the world. Parents still trust her completely with their most precious possessions, knowing that their children are not only loved and educated, but also protected by someone with unmatched skills and unwavering commitment. The rifle remains secured in the emergency cabinet, properly maintained but hopefully never needed again. Emma's military awards are stored in a box at home, private reminders of service that she's proud of but doesn't need to display. The person she is now, teacher, protector, nurturer, incorporates the best parts of who she used to be while serving a different but equally important mission. Emma's story teaches us something profound about the nature of protection and service. The skills developed for military combat can be transformed into tools for civilian protection. The warrior, who once eliminated threats from distant rooftops, can become the teacher who eliminates fear from children's daily lives. The protector who once served her country can serve her community by ensuring that the most vulnerable among us, our children, are safe, loved, and free to grow into their best selves. Sometimes protection requires force, and sometimes it requires finger paints and story time. Emma Rodriguez learned to provide both, and 18 children are alive today because their teacher understood that the greatest victory isn't defeating enemies. It's ensuring that innocent people can live peaceful lives without fear. The daycare teacher who used to be a sniper became someone even more dangerous to those who threaten children, a protector who combines maternal instincts with lethal precision, someone willing to do whatever it takes to ensure that nap time remains peaceful and story time stays safe. Emma clocks out every afternoon at 5:30, just like every other daycare teacher. But unlike every other teacher, she goes home knowing that she's created a space where children can be children, where parents can work without worry, and where the most innocent among us are protected by someone who understands that some duties never end. They just find new, more meaningful ways to serve. The ultimate protection isn't about the size of your weapon or the strength of your position. It's about being the kind of person who stands between danger and innocence, whether you're wearing combat fatigues on a distant battlefield or finger paint smudges in a suburban daycare. Emma Rodriguez learned to be both, and her community's children sleep safer because of it.